reappears. Except there's more than just a few scattered pops now.
How much more?
You in a very short space of time, you hear upwards of 10 pops.
I look at the others, see if they heard it. Specifically the dwarf who insists on weapons.
The dwarf looks very perturbed, as clearly he's heard it. The dwarf has leant over and is picking up what looks to be like a great hammer from the sort of like the passenger seat. As he picks it up, he goes, "Looks like we might have a fight on our hands, Bertha." As he picks up his big hammer, you note inscribed on the hammer is Bertha, like on the head of the hammer, as he just props it over his shoulder.
Nice. Okay. Be cautious, but do not attack if we are not provoked, please.
The dwarf looks at you and just grunts. Ugh.
Roth, does that mean yes?
It better. I just look at the dwarf.
The dwarf just again grunts. As you see ahead of you guys, one of these dogs begins walking out of the bush towards you guys. It's low and growling at you.
Can I growl back? I'm a big creature.
Yeah.
I would like to intimidate the blink dogs.
Okay, you can try and intimidate the blink dogs. Roll an intimidation check.
That is a 17. I'm a big creature and I can growl louder than he can.
The one dog stops moving forward and lowers further. It's flattening, it growls louder. There's a pop.
I keep walking.
There's a pop, another one appears next to it. Another pop, and then another one appears next to that one.
I want to try communicating with it. I can do the verbal thingy, speech of beast and leaf, which means I can communicate somewhat with beasts.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to. Can I figure out which one appears to be the leader, or if they have like a leader? If not, just the biggest one.
The biggest one there is actually the last one to appear. Out of the three you can see.
Mm-hmm. I'll try to address him or her. So please back away. We are traveling. We do not wish to fight. Do they respond?
You can roll me a charisma check or a persuasion check.
Is it 3?
They continue growling. From their posture, they're not not listening to you so much.
Yeah. Do I get the sense they understood me though?
You do. Like the biggest one's ear twitches, but they don't stop growling. The one that was intimidated is the furthest back, but none of these three have moved further forward.
Yeah. I sigh.
We should just keep moving.
Let's try.
Perhaps if we ignore them.
I hope so. I guess we keep moving then.
Okay, your path takes you a little bit closer to them, but then it curves off to one side. As you begin walking past them, there's no... They don't move to attack, they keep growling. The dwarf is still holding something, doesn't take its eyes off them, but none of the people you're traveling with raise their weapons. They just keep moving, their eyes never leaving these creatures. And there is just a continued low growl, but nothing comes of it, and you continue moving forward. You get the impression you may have strayed a little close to another creature's territory,
Hmm.
and they might be a little defensive.
Do we have someone with us who is like in charge of the map or something? So we can make note
Yes.
of like here there be
You do. Here there be books. Here there be books. You do have somebody who's in charge of the map. You see the dwarf scribbling on the map. As he's still holding the reins, he's put his hammer down and is just scrawling on the map, entirely dwarven. Well, that wasn't sort of interesting. Right-ho. You guys keep going until you reach toward the end of the day where camp is set up with no particular difficulties. Would you like to roll for the nighttime, or would you like me to roll in secret for the nighttime stuff? The night passes without a bother. Different people are put up doing different watches, but there is no cause for alarm. We're still in one of the great forests, so there's not a great deal of distance to the watch. Like they can't, excuse me, they can't see very far, so they're quite edgy about it. But there is no alarms, no cause for alarm, and you will wake up in the morning, not a problem.
I presume we've probably taken our watches too.
Yes. And so the next day ticks forward as you continue to press forward and travel. Claire, would you like to roll today?
Sure.
Are you okay? This is the most you've coughed all day.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
It's gonna happen again though. Yeah, no dips.
So this day passes without incident. As the day draws to a close, your party enters a clearing, which is ideal for making camp. There is a single tree at the center. It's smaller than the other trees in the immediate area, and appears to be sort of slightly withered. But as you approach it, and the dwarf begins instructing the others on how to make camp and to make camp around this area, and things like that. You guys both know there's a carving in the trunk of this old decaying tree. There is a face carved into the tree.
Take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Investigation.
It's a face carved into a tree.
Why would someone do this?
Do not know. Seems disrespectful. Unless it is the face of the tree, of course. Perhaps a spirit lives in it.
I just kind of raise my eyebrow. Maybe.
Does it look familiar?
It's just a face carved into a tree. It's a bit odd, but that's what it appears to be.
Okay.
So camp is set up for the night. Okay. That night, you can both roll me charisma saving throws.
You get a +3 to this.
Oh.
Party with the paladin.
I get +3 to this because it's not set up. So I'll get a 12.
Okay. The night passes that instant. You awaken to your watches as you'd expect to find a number of your caravan peers are actually awake. Bags under their eyes, claiming they can't get to sleep, and though when they do sleep, they're woken by nightmares.
They would have all got +3. Well,
Yeah,
depending on what happens.
Unfortunately, they didn't help any of them. The dwarf is snoring. But a few of them do eventually nod off, and they wake up with a start less than a half hour later. So you guys know in your watches that people keep starting with their sleep. It doesn't look like many other people get restful sleep, whereas you guys do, despite your watches.
We'll probably just walk slower than normal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the following day, you guys set off. Obviously consuming your rations, so you guys are 2 ration days in. And off you go. Is it Astrid? It's your turn this time.
Yeah. 20.
20.
Yeah.
Okay. So the day progresses, and it's just a quiet, peaceful trip through the forest. As the hour draws later, you do notice a number of fireflies in the air around you. It has almost a mythical, like, enchanted forest vibe going on for it. It's quite nice, actually.
Yeah, Flurry loves it. Reminds him of home.
Yeah, it's pleasant. Though you would note your peers, the other people in the caravan, bar the dwarf, do struggle today. They are very tired.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have it yet, that's fine.
So no one got a +3 to their save.
So I got 9, so I probably didn't sleep well.
Yeah, you're tired. That 3 did make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Roth has been tired all day and has struggled to keep up. As you reach the end of the day, and everyone packs everything out for camping and sleeping, dinner rations are held. People are almost dead on their feet. They're exhausted. As you guys set up, like neither of you are on. Well, actually, Flurry, you're politely asked to take first watch because everyone else, apart from the dwarf, is shattered, and the dwarf goes, "Well, I'll take second then."
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. So your watch passes without an issue, Flurry. You just, you're quite.
I'm sorry. No, get rid of this. Wash it down more. There we go.
In these virus times, coughs are most unsettling. But you've been nowhere. We've been nowhere that it could be anything like that.
I've cleaned all day. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I have it every morning when I wake up. I'm just sneezing and I think, oh no.
It's the Rona.
I'm gonna die. No, I just broke up.
So Flurry, your watch passes that an issue and you wake the dwarf up and the dwarf is like, nah, all right, fine, go to sleep. And so you head off to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And an unknown amount of time later, Claire's going to regret editing this later. Cutting out your coughs is going to be a dick. Indeterminate amount of time later, you are both awoken to screaming.
I grab my sword.
As you go to pick up your sword, both of you can roll me Constitution saving throws.
That is a 12.
I got a 5.
Okay. You both snap awake and sit up, and hovering over the center of your camp is an ethereal being floating about 5 feet off the ground. their skin is this pallid drawn white. You note the pointed ears denoting an elf, but a shock of white hair flowing off to one side, and their dress is essentially flowing off them
Sorry.
mid fucking flow, flowing off them in a non-existent wind. And as you look at them from when you see them drawing this, what you describe as a breath, and then there's this unholy wail, and just like that, you both lose consciousness again.
Okay.
As fortunately, neither one of you met 13 DC to withstand that.
Yeah.
So, Claire,
Mm-hmm.
you can roll me the next D100, please.
That is a 56.
Now, please roll me a D4.
I don't like this.
You wake up an unknown amount of time later, to the sound of a crash, and then a low snuffling.
I startle and then grab my sword and jump up,
As you do that,
which is impressive for a four-legged creature.
yes, Flora, you also hear this crash.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also snap upward?
Yeah.
As you snap upward, you both have a split second to take in your environment. As you realise, the cart that you guys have been essentially been camping around has just been overturned onto its side, and a large owlbear is essentially crushing the wooden structure.
Way.
You also note, rather horrifyingly, that two others owlbears are currently snacking on what appear to be your dead fellow caravanners. And there is a gurgling noise coming from inside the caravan, as like there's a pained sort of noise. And
I don't like this word "and."
No.
you can both roll the initiative, please.
And it's not a word I want to hear. Oh yay. I was going to leap into action, but apparently very slowly.
It takes a while to get up on four legs.
This is true.
And unfortunately, you don't get a surprise round here. So okay.
Oh. Sorry, my throat is irritated and that's why I'm coughing.
It's the Rona. I'm of course being
I've had
flippant.
to catch it off you.
No, you wouldn't have. There's the Alberto. Bum bum bum, owl bears. that's the jingle for this season. Bum bum bum, owl bears.
Well, I've just got a little royalty-free music to make this a jingle for it.
Okay, so Flori, you react quickest to this turn of events. As you snap up and have that second to take in the screen, the scene I've just described. The owlbears, to position them for you, the owlbear over the cart is the closest one to you.
Yeah.
You note, as you have a second to take everything in, none of the bodies that you can see around you are the dwarf.
Okay.
You see the dwarf's hammer, but you don't see the dwarf's body.
Okay. And is the hammer near the cart?
It is very close to the cart.
Okay. I'm gonna sort of run at the one who's messing with our cart.
Mm-hmm.
Punch him. No, first quarterstaff them. I just remembered how monks work. First I quarterstaff them, then I punch. for 22
That hits.
for 6 damage, and then it's the punching, I believe.
And you get to make an offhand attack with your punch. Gives you monk. That also hits.
Yeah, and it's another 9 damage.
Your quarterstaff resoundingly connects with the owlbear's flank, and then as it turns to look at what's just hit it, 'cause it didn't realize that it was about to be attacked. As it turns to look at you, your fist connects with essentially what is its cheek, and its head suddenly snaps in the other direction before it immediately turns to look at you, and it snarls at you like it clicks its beak and growls.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you'd like to do?
I wanna yell. Do we know the dwarf's name? Did I just forget?
You guys, I don't think you guys asked.
No, probably not. We would have asked by now, though. 3 days in.
I mean, the only name he gives you is clearly not his name, but it's what he's going by at the moment. He just goes by Grumpy.
Oh, right, Grumpy. I want to yell for Grumpy.
As you roll Grumpy, there's it's squashing me.
Where's it coming from?
The cart.
Okay. I'll yell back that I'm coming. I'm on my way.
Okay.
Working on it.
Okay, end of your turn?
Yeah, I think so.
At the end of your turn, the owlbear pushes off the cart, drawing another pained yelp from the dwarf before it lands on all fours and just turns to look at you. You get the impression it's about to try and hit you. Does an 18 hit you?
It does.
Okay, bear with me 1 second. I'm just flipping this over to Whisper. Okay. It stabs you for 7 piercing damage. Oh, what's your armor class?
16.
It then just misses you with its claws. Like you duck, as you take the beak and you like forward slightly, as it pulls back to the claw, because you've ducked, it just swipes just over your head. You get the impression if that had hit you, that would have really sucked.
Yeah.
The other two look up and see this engagement. They blink and they go back to their meals, like they don't believe you guys are a threat. They haven't, from where they are, they haven't seen Roth. They've just seen their peer or their one of their packmates going after you.
Yeah.
Roth.
Yes.
You just pulled yourself to your feet, had a second to take in the scene I previously described, and then Flurry has just gone punching an owlbear, and the owlbear is attacking back.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Were we sleeping 30 feet away from where this owlbear is?
Everyone was within 30 feet of the cart. So
Am I 30 feet away?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to charge them.
Like to charge the
Yes.
the owlbear.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to smack him with my sword.
Do you have to charge in a straight line?
No, if you move at least 30 feet.
Okay, then yeah, you can get to do that.
So he's going to take 2 of these first.
Do you have multi-attack already?
I'm level 5.
Hmm.
I'm for paladin.
Fair. Both of those will hit.
6. And then 8. And then I'm going to smack him with my feet. And miss.
Yeah. That 10 will definitely miss, I'm afraid.
Sad face.
The owlbear looks mildly put out as it's cut into twice, and then hooves try and stomp on it. And the owlbear is larger than you, but you just miss its paws with your hooves.
Well, I like to think I rear up and then.
And miss its feet with your hooves.
Yeah. I'm trying to stamp on its feet.
You misjudged that, and you just missed its feet.
That is everything.
Okay, Flurry.
I am going to hit the same owlbear twice with my quarterstaff because apparently I can also do 2 attacks. Hop. One hit, I think.
Yep, the 10 will miss.
Yeah. That's 5.
Mm.
And then I'll use my one of my key points to hit with a what's it called? Flurry
Flurry of blows.
Yeah,
You get
it's
to make an
twice.
additional. Yeah, you get to make an additional unarmed strike.
Yeah. One
So
of
you
which
hit
misses.
once.
Yeah.
So you hit once.
There's another 10 damage.
10 damage. It's max damage for one of those.
Uh-huh.
Damn, good hit, good hit. As your fist impacts after the bottle stuff, the owlbear is clearly in a worse state. As that punch attack, you feel like one of the ribs break as you punch into it. The owlbear makes a low keening noise, like it's wheezing, before it's going to try and attack you again. You are at the end of your turn, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Is Flurry next to me?
Yes.
I'm going to impose disadvantage.
On one of its attacks.
The first one, probably.
Does the 17 hit?
Yeah.
That's with disadvantage. Sorry, I happened to roll really well twice. Florrie, just quickly, how many hit points do you have?
32 left.
Left. Okay. You lose 15 of those to the
Ow.
big attack. As returning your max damage strike with its own max damage strike, apparently. It will then swipe at you with its claws. And it will, again, surprisingly, as you get hit by the beak and you just grimace. It's just enough. That grimace is just enough for you to start moving out of the way as the claws rip out into the air, and you feel the breeze just across. You swear it just brushes your nose just as you're out of the way. Oh, that was a bit close.
Yeah.
Both of you note that now there's 2 of you here, and one of you is like a big horse. One of the other owlbears is now looking at the situation going, food. And is about to push itself away from its partially consumed meal. Roth.
Mm-hmm. I would like to stab the thing.
Is that the thing, the owlbear?
Yes.
Okay, good. I have to clarify because Flurry is also a thing, apparently.
Please don't hit me.
22 and an 11.
One of those will hit.
10 slashing damage. No, I'm not going to slice it yet.
Okay. The longsword blow carves into one of the owlbear's flanks, deeply wounding it. You see its back leg just sort of begin twitching under its own weight, like it can't quite hold it up anymore. Mm-hmm. This owlbear does not look to be in a good state.
That is everything. Sorry, I didn't mean to push that.
Okay, that's everything, yeah?
Yeah. I would like to growl at it, and I will cast Compel Duel, challenging it.
Okay. Make a wisdom saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
What's your DC?
14.
It has no interest in fighting you.
I growl.
As it passes your spell save. That's one lucky fucking owlbear. Jeez. I get the thing that's about to be very unlucky, as I'm assuming that's the end of your turn.
That is the end of my turn, yes.
Takes us back onto Flurry.
Yeah. I'm gonna do the same thing. So I get 2 attacks with the quarterstaff.
Both of which miss.
That's not good. And then I'll use another key for flurry of blows.
Both of which hit.
Okay, good.
And I just realized I also have an extra thing, which I'll get to in a sec. 8 and 6.
Okay. After the first punch that makes contact, so you miss your quarter staff twice. Your first punch comes in, you just smack the owlbear in its damaged ribs, and something apparently explodes.
I'm sure everything's fine.
I don't know if you heard that, but something just went bang. So your first punch slightly connects with the owlbear's broken rib. You got a surprising like a wet squelch and no noise from the owlbear. And as you punch it the second time, there is absolutely no resistance. The owlbear just sort of flops onto the cart, drawing a pain from underneath it. As this owlbear ceases to move.
Good. I want to check inside the cart.
Okay, you do have the attention. You do have the attention of another owlbear, but you can certainly go and look at the cart, go around the cart to see what you can find.
Yeah, I just want to check to see if I can see Grumpy.
Okay, as you move, you discover that Grumpy is actually in the cart itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a covered wagon or anything. It's just like an open-air cart, and he's squashed between two boxes, like just out of sight from where the owlbears have been looking and snuffling. He looks very, very beaten up. Very much like his injuries are much more like where he's been scratched, and like it doesn't look like owlbear wounds. It's like fingernails that have been dragged across one of his cheeks, and his beard has like fallen out on one side where his skin is starting to turn black from around the injuries. He looks at you and just like, kill these things, would you?
Working on it.
Yeah, work harder.
I turn back to see if the owlbear is coming for me.
What the two other owlbears have now taken notice of the fact that their compatriot is dead.
Yeah.
They do look. They size both of you up. They sniff the air, and one of the owlbears literally just leans down and with its beak snaps its beak onto one of the legs of one of your dead compatriots and just starts dragging the body away. Apparently content with its meal. The other one watches this, looks at you, keeps eyeing you guys, and despite noticing your injuries, leans down and also grabs the body. It's half eaten and just begins pulling it away. Like they've got their food. They've just watched you kill one of their compatriots. They're not gonna. They're just leaving.
Good. I do not try to stop them. I'm bleeding.
Yeah, you got pecked.
Yeah, I got pecked real good.
Mm-hmm. But if you let them leave, that'll be the end of combat.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. The two owlbears take two of the corpses away with them.
Can I try and ride the cart?
Yeah, by all means.
In fact, can I let the dwarf climb out first?
The dwarf drags himself out from between the crates, pushes himself to his feet, standing at like a measly 4 feet tall. Rubs like his face where he's got no beard. He goes, "Been growing this beard for nearly 5 decades. Where's it gone?" He looks around. Oh, well, that's a bit crap.
I try and ride the cart.
Roll me a strength check. Claire? Claire, what is that not?
Oh. I wish I would like to channel divinity.
Okay, before you do that, you are aware you rolled me a save.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll it.
Okay.
No, 11.
You lean down and just go to hoist the cart. You're like,
I've got 10 minutes with this channel divinity. I'll keep trying.
You're gonna have to keep trying because that one didn't work. You hoist the cart on your second attempt. You're like, you wiggle a little bit, you put your back into it, and you just lift, and it's back on its wheels. You do note, however, that the cart is slightly more damaged than previously. Like one of the sides that is designed to keep goods on it is buckled and cracked and broken, where the owlbear has basically stood on the cart.
Oh, it's not new anymore.
The dwarf has sort of waddled over to to its hammer, picked it up, looked around and gone, Nomi's not dead, though.
Nomi?
Nomi.
Where is Nomi?
Oi, little bastard. There's a help
From...
the tree line.
I look at the tree line.
You look up, there is this small gnome hanging from like 2 daggers that are embedded in the tree. Just like hanging off of these 2 daggers,
Oh,
like a good 10 to 12 feet up where the owlbear couldn't reach them. That is owlbear scratch marks.
I sigh and walk over. Because I'm like 9 foot. So if I reach up, I can probably...
You can catch the gnome if they fall.
I will catch the gnome.
As you persuade the gnome down, the gnome pulls the daggers and then just lets itself drop and lands in your arms. Looks at you and goes, I survived.
Yes, you did. What happened here? I kind of walk back with him and put him down. I put him down and then walk back because I'm not a horse.
The gnome is tiny compared to you, like absolutely minuscule.
I'm not a horse. I'm not here to carry people.
Yeah. The dwarf that looks at you guys and goes, it's one of the reasons you always assume things coming out of these forests are hostile. That wasn't undead. I think you'd call it a banshee if memory serves. Certainly felt like it given that a whale.
I remember that, and I remember nothing.
Yeah, well, that's what happens if you aren't hardy enough to withstand the whale. Straight to unconsciousness. And then she just rips you apart. Which is what she did to some of the boys before I could stop her. Then the owlbears came to scavenge, and I couldn't do anything about that.
Well, it's in their nature, I guess.
Yeah. Well, looks like it's just the 4 of us left. Best keep moving. Don't want owlbears coming back. Plus, we're sat by a bunch of stinking corpses now, which means there's a bunch of meat that they can smell. Best push on. It looks like poor old lads. Unfortunately, sometimes that's just the way the sword falls, eh? Right. There's a long pause as the gnome looks at the cart. The dwarf turns to look at him, and there's just a long moment of, there's no horse.
Do not look at me.
They shake their head at the centaur. The horse bolted. Means we're going to have to either pull or push the cart.
Fine.
What?
I'll help pull the cart.
All right.
Not as a horse.
Okay. So essentially, the dwarf just sets up like a rope binding, and he basically ties himself to the cart and basically starts strongman walking, pulling the cart along.
Broth would probably take it first because he still has his bindability, which means he's lightning pace.
Okay. Basically, then Roth, for you, they brace it round. They're not sure whether to brace it around the midsection of your human part or your horse part.
Human part.
Right. So they do both for you. It's not comfortable, but it functions, so you can pull the cart along.
I'm really good at it for the next 5 minutes, and then I'm okay at it.
Mm-hmm. But you guys begin traveling again.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone cycles through. The only exception to pulling this cart along is the gnome, because there is no way in hell that gnome is going to be able to pull the cart. The gnome squeaks out an apology and promises to cook all the food as an apology for not being able to pull the cart.
Yeah, that's fair.
Listen.
So, who would like to roll for today? as you guys travel?
I think I did the last one.
It is Claire's turn. That's what Claire's luck gives us.
Gives us a 1.
Okay. Surprisingly, this is a quiet day.
Oh, good. We need quiet.
As you guys just keep plodding on. The dwarf does note as you guys are going forward that the forest looks like it's thinning, which is helpful.
Oh, we must be near the end.
There's less bumping and shifting on routes, and
I think it's fireworks.
which is really inconsiderate. There's no reason to be exploding. There's no reason to be fireworking.
For weeks it's been going on here.
Yeah.
Shame.
We had railway tamping works going on the railway that's not far from here,
Oh.
which is basically like fireworks every night for like 3 weeks.
It's basically like a really loud hammer.
Yeah. But as the forest begins thinning, it becomes easier to travel. So whoever's pulling has a much easier time of it. You reach toward the end of the day, and the dwarf is consulting the map in the dimming light. He looks at you two and just goes, well, not too much further and we should be clear of the forest.
Oh.
Yep, then it's plains pretty much along all the coastline round to the mountains. Once we can see the mountains and the coast meets the base of a mountain, we're at about, the second week, almost there. Then it's either through the mountains or round them for the last week.
We were advised probably round.
Well, given how few of us there are now, doesn't really matter. The more numbers is better for if you're going up the mountain because if you're going through the forest because of predation and other horrors. Up the pass, at least you can see the things coming before they get you.
Pulling the carts on the mountains, though, might be a problem, since we do not have a horse anymore.
Yeah, that is a point. Forest it is then, I guess. But as I said, we've still got a good solid week till we get to that point. Well, week and a half. A week if we make damn good time.
Perhaps we will find a new horse.
I really doubt it.
I shrug.
Unless one of you's a fucking druid or something. I highly doubt we'll get one that's trained. Right.
Roth is off thinking.
Okay. So I will roll for the night. Nothing happens. And as you guys have all taken your watches, you all set up in the following morning. The gnome has made breakfast. It's all nice.
Roth is reading from a book.
Okay. And
accidentally summons a horse.
what? Roth is reading from a book, and suddenly a horse just appears.
Mm-hmm. So Roth is kind of reading from his book. Occasionally he does this, and he has been known to summon a horse when required, but he doesn't know how he does it. He just knows that if he reads this, and then he's thinking hard enough about having a horse, then one appears.
A horse appears.
Grumpy.
The dwarf is just watching this as this horse just manifests out of nowhere. You're just like, what the fuck?
Magic.
It's a horse. Sometimes this
you're
happens.
one of them magic types.
No.
How else did you just summon an horse?
Well, sometimes.
Did you think about it real hard and it just happened?
Yeah.
While reading from a book?
No, I read the book earlier.
You're one of them magic types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm a fighter.
Keep telling yourself that. Well, hook it up. We'll harness it up then. Let's get going.
I asked the horse real nicely to walk over to the car.
The horse mindlessly follows your instructions.
I lead the horse to the court. I am not harnessing the horse. It's too close to home.
Grumpy harnesses the horse up to the cart. Well, this will make it easier. Might make good time now. Good job. Magic horse.
I poke the horse not very hard. No, it's real.
Pardon? Claire, what was that?
I poke the horse. No, it's real.
Right. Okay, whatever. Let's just go, shall we? So, Astrid,
Mm-hmm.
it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want the drum roll?
It's 97.
Okay, I'm going to very politely ask you to re-roll. You don't want what you just rolled.
No, I figured.
Astrid,
Yeah.
third time's the charm.
Still slightly better. 70.
Okay. So, most of the day passes absolutely fine. You're just pushing through the undergrowth now as it thins. There's fewer roots. The trees, there's slightly more space between the trees. You see far more daylight than you have in the last couple of days. And just as you reach the end of this, was it fourth day?
No, something like that.
There is just a moment of absolute shock as you guys just break the tree line. And laid out ahead of you is this vast plain. And you can just make out on the horizon the ocean.
This feels more like home.
Mm-hmm.
And the dwarf's like, right. Best camp in the trees and then make for the coast tomorrow.
Yes, I suppose.
Right. The dwarf begins setting up camp. The gnome pulls out cooking utensils, makes a fire.
Mm-hmm.
The gnome is whistling a jaunty tune as it does so.
I'm going to just look out over the plains.
Okay. Roll me a perception check.
That
You just see the grass swaying in the breeze.
I smile.
It's pleasant. It's a nice evening. Is there anything you'd like to do as they're setting up camp? Flo?
No, I just relax, enjoy the trees. Are there any more fireflies around? They all gone.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
You do hear some tweeting, though, as a small songbird is picks up the gnome's melody.
Yeah, I'm just looking around at the natural life. Look at a cool bug or something.
Cool. Roll me a perception check. There is indeed a cool bug. Because it isn't native to this area.
Oh.
It looks very out of place.
Where would I expect to see it?
You'd probably expect it slightly warmer than where you currently are. Like,
Hmm.
you might expect to see it like in the mountains themselves, like closer, like deep in the mountains. Yeah, where the geothermal heat is much more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a bug. It's like a bug lizardy creature. It looks up at you as you spot it. It spots you.
Mm-hmm.
It like huffs, and a small amount of steam just emits from its nose.
Huh.
And its sort of shell opens, and it's like its ladybug-like wings like flap a little bit as it goes to buzz away. It's a tiny little thing. It's like a combination of what sort of the kind of like, I want to say gecko. I think that's the wrong one. Like one of those lizards you find running around. Like if you disturb a rock in the Mediterranean summer, and
Oh,
it's one
yeah.
of those. It's like one of those, but it has like a ladybird shell
Mm-hmm.
over its like where its normal body is. It looks like it can move with that sort of speed, but it's smaller and more buggish. If that makes it's an odd creature. It doesn't look particularly natural, but it's more oriented towards warm environments.
Yeah.
And it's here.
That is odd.
It just keeps looking at you.
I want to go over to Grumpy for a bit, see if there's anything warm on the map that we've missed.
Grumpy just looks at you. So, do you mind?
There's a bug.
We're in a forest.
Yes, exactly.
There's lots of bugs here.
This bug should not be here.
Right.
Can I see the map, please?
He hands you the map. It's very crude is the wrong word. It looks very much like it's a copy of an old map that wasn't particularly detailed.
Mm-hmm.
As you sort of look at it, he looks at you and goes, "Look, it was a copy of a map that was drawn up during the war, right? It's the best thing we had."
It is all right. Are there any places where the heat comes out of the earth?
I mean, well, on the map itself, or are you asking Grumpy?
Both. If I don't see any on the map, I'll ask Grumpy.
There's none obvious on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Grumpy frowns and goes, "Well, there might be offspring somewhere in this forest. You never know. Like warm geezers tucked away that no one finds because, they're hidden in the forest and you can't hear them, can't see them.
That might be the case.
But I mean, we might have just missed them. Might be hot groundwater. You don't know. But I still have no intention of digging around to find out. Not with our luck."
Good point. Can I see the bug again? Can I find it again?
You can.
Or
It's still
similar
just
one.
sat where you looked at it. It's just sat there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to it, and if it leaves, I want to follow it, see where it goes. If it's not too far.
Okay, as you begin to approach it again, it does take off.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes quite quick time back into the tree line. And how far do you follow it?
I want to say definitely within hearing range.
Okay, but for how long do you follow? For do you feel? Do you follow in 10 feet? Do you follow 50 feet? Like how far are you going back into the forest?
Probably feet. Guess about 100 feet.
Okay.
Some distance.
You follow it for about 80 or so feet.
Yeah.
And then you don't hear it anymore, and you lose sight of it. But you do hear what sounds like like that wet squelch of someone stepping in mud. As you sort of come to a stop, you note that the trees here, while they're slightly looser packed than you'd expect, they also look to be anchored in mud, and it's a lot warmer. As you look down, there's warm mud here. and you note there's a number of sort of like bug-sized holes in the mud. And periodically, there's like a bubble forms, and there's a pop, and this hot gas is emitted.
Does it smell oh, what's the word?
There's no there's no of that rotten egg smell
Yeah.
that would indicate
Sulfur.
sulfur.
Yeah.
No, I know what you were getting at.
I just sort of look around, see what's happening.
It looks like
There's
you've come
anything.
across where essentially hot water is bubbling up,
Yeah.
and it doesn't attain enough pressure to burst through as like a geyser, so it's been bubbling up and forming hot mud.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
and
I have a look for a while. Then I'll
Mhm.
head back to camp.
you've basically found a natural hot mud bath.
Yeah.
Basically, Roth, as you're in the camp, you sort of look around. Flurry is chasing a bug and disappears into the tree line.
This doesn't seem
This doesn't concern you.
unfamiliar.
Grumpy plods out and goes, "Set camp up. Your tent's sorted.
Thanks.
You're welcome."
You left the doors off this time, right?
Yes, I left the doors off because you made a bloody racket last time.
My doors.
Well, what were you putting your hooves, you great beast?
Watch
He looks up
Your-
at you.
out.
Yeah, watch your hooves, horse boy.
I snort and ignore him.
He snorts back.
I'm ignoring him now.
Yeah, he's ignoring you. Birth cloth. Nomi's just like, guys, dinner's ready.
Flurry will be back when
I mean, it's stew
Some
again,
point.
so I'll keep it hot.
Flurry will be back at some point.
That's cool. As you're saying that, Flurry jogs back into camp. The gnome spots you first, Flurry. Immediately goes to wave at you. Realizes that it was about to that they were about to serve essentially stew with a ladle, and they went to wave at you with a ladle. So as they've gone up and gone, oh shit! As they realize they're about to pour the hot stew back over themselves, and they've moved the bowl. So they've basically gone to wave at you, and they've sort of poured it into the bowl almost like in an artsy style. They've looked at you and gone, that went better than expected. They hand you the bowl.
Thank you.
No problem. They serve a very nice dinner. And if that's best for you guys, I can draw this episode to a close here.